I'm not sure what's going to happen in Libya. The only thing I am sure about is Gaddafi won't last. You know, we've been trying to deal with Gaddafi for a long, long time. Reagan once had something to say about Gaddafi shortly after a bombing at a Berlin disco. Remember that? Killed 2 American servicemen. This is April 9, 1986. Hat tip, Freedom's Lighthouse, cut 4. Go.
Well, we know that this mad dog of the Middle East has a goal of a world revolution, Muslim fundamentalist revolution, which is targeted on many of his own Arab compatriots. And where we figure in that, I don't know, maybe we're just the enemy because it's a little like climbing Mount Everest, because we're here.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Washington Compost had an editorial which asked the question I asked 2 days ago: why was Obama last to speak up on Libya? He couldn't wait to talk about Egypt and Mubarak. And they wrote, once again, an Arab dictator is employing criminal violence in a desperate effort to remain in power. And once again, the Obama administration has been slow to find its voice. This time, the tyrant is one of the Middle East's most evil men, Muammar Gaddafi, whose regime has staged spectacular terrorist attacks against Americans, in addition to brutalizing its own people. Having apparently lost control of most of the country, Gaddafi has unleashed an orgy of bloodshed in the capital, Tripoli, using foreign mercenaries and aircraft to attack his own people. Like Saddam Hussein, he has retreated to a bunker, and he has vowed to fight to the last drop of blood. Governments around the world have been condemning this appalling stance and the terrible slaughter it has caused. The European Union has agreed in principle to impose sanctions. The Arab League has said Libya will be excluded from its meetings. British Prime Minister David Cameron, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi, I can say it fast 5 times, all condemned the region's violence. Said French President Sarkozy, quote, the continuing brutal and bloody crackdown against the Libyan civilian population is revolting. The international community cannot remain a spectator to these massive violations of human rights. By late Wednesday, only one major Western leader had failed to speak up on Libya, Barack Obama. Before then, the president's only comment during 5 days of mounting atrocities was a statement issued in by his press secretary last Friday, which deplored violence that day in 3 countries, Yemen, Libya, and Bahrain. For 4 subsequent days, the administration's response to the rapidly escalating bloodshed in Libya consisted of measured and relatively mild statements by Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State. Now, administration officials explained this weak stance by saying they were worried about U.S. citizens, hundreds of whom were being extracted by ferry Wednesday afternoon. There were fears that the desperate Gaddafi might attack the Americans or seek to take them hostage. But the presence of thousands of European citizens in Libya didn't prevent their government's leaders from forcefully speaking out and agreeing on sanctions. And late Wednesday, Obama finally appeared at a White House podium. He said, we strongly condemn the use of violence in Libya, but he didn't mention Gaddafi or call for his removal. He said the administration was preparing a full range of options to respond. He didn't say what those might be, made no mention in the no-fly zone that Libya's delegation at the UN is called for, so they stopped bombing their own people. He stressed that the U.S. would work through international forums and said Mrs. Clinton would travel to Geneva for a meeting of the notoriously ineffectual UN Human Rights Council, which counts Libya as a member. Obama appeared eager to make the point the U.S. was not taking the lead in opposing Gaddafi's crimes. Shouldn't the President of the United States be the first to oppose the depravities of a tyrant such as Mr. Gaddafi? Apparently this one doesn't think so. That's good, Washington Compost. You got one right. Still waiting to hear from you on the imperial president, on what he did on the DOMA, on his blowing off 2 federal judges. Yeah, we're waiting for more of this, Washington Compost. Not really. I'm saying that sarcastically. If we wait for it, we'll die of thirst and hunger because you're nowhere to be found. Now, this is breaking news. The Associated depressed Lubbock, Texas. A young college student from Saudi Arabia who studied chemical engineering in Texas purchased explosive chemicals over the Internet as part of a plan to hide bomb materials inside dolls and baby carriages to blow up dams, nuclear plants, or the Dallas home of former President George W. Bush, said the Justice Department. After mastering the English language, learning how to build explosive, and continuous planning to target the infidel Americans, it is time for jihad, the student wrote in his private journal, according to court documents. said he was influenced by speeches from Osama bin Laden and despaired the plight of Muslims. I don't get this. Who's killing Muslims? Muslims are killing Muslims. Who's killing Arabs? Arabs are killing Arabs. Arab Muslims are killing Arab Muslims. Muslim Arabs are killing Muslim Arabs. Muslims are killing Arabs. Arabs are killing Muslims. Shouldn't he be blowing up Muslims? I mean, honestly, it's just, he shouldn't be blowing up anyone, of course, but my point is one of logic. The plight of Muslims. Does he see what's going on in Libya? Well, I guess it's a little late for him now, but Libya and other parts of the Muslim world. One of the chemical companies, Carolina Biological Supply of Burlington, North Carolina, reported suspicious purchases by Khalid Ali M. Aldawarsari, 20, of Lubbock, Texas, to the FBI on February 1. Within weeks, federal agents had traced his other online purchases, discovered extremist posts he made on the Internet, and secretly searched his off-campus apartment, computer, and email accounts and read his diary, according to court records. TNP, the chemical explosive that he was allegedly trying to obtain, has approximately the same destructive power as TNT. FBI bomb experts said the amounts in his case would have yielded almost 15 pounds of explosives. That's about the same amount used per bomb in the July 2005 London subway attacks, which killed scores of people. Yaba Dabba Doo, who was legally in the U.S. on a student visa, was expected to appear in federal court tomorrow. He was charged today with attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction. Now, Yaba entered the U.S. in October 2008 from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, to study chemical engineering at Texas Tech. I guess he was a good student. Then transferred earlier this year to nearby South Plains College, where he was studying business. A Saudi industrial company, which was not identified in court documents, was paying his tuition and living expenses in the U.S. Boy, we catch a lot of these people by luck, don't we? I'm just being honest about it. Now, once we get a whiff of them, we move quickly, but still, you do have to wonder. Like stars in the galaxy. At some point, one might get through. And on top of that, ABC News is reporting Denver. On the same day, federal authorities announced the arrest of a Saudi Arabian man in Texas on charges of attempted use of a weapon of mass destruction. ABC News obtained a letter sent by the FBI to businesses across the country, warning them to watch out for anyone who might be planning a terrorist attack using fertilizer, chemical, or pesticide explosives. The FBI's Denver field office has sent a letter to farm supply stores in its region, warning employees to be aware of anyone who might be acting in a way that could indicate potential terrorist activity. Now, we could collect all the audio of Obama downplaying the war on terrorism, but why should I? He doesn't downplay it anymore. Not exactly a leader in the fight, but still he doesn't downplay it anymore. I wonder why. You know, these liberals never admit error, do they? They're never wrong. We never should have even been talking about shutting down Guantanamo Bay, yet he led with that. And by the way, where's McCain and Goober Graham? They were pushing it too. Not so quick to leave Iraq. We still have forces in Iraq. Not so quick to leave Afghanistan. We still obviously have forces in Afghanistan. Now we call them terrorists. Now we talk about terror. What happened? Where are all the news reports and the liberals telling us this was all a phony war? Where are they? You know, you beat your head against the wall if you expect an honest media in this country or an honest left. There's no such thing. We'll be right back. New home sales way down by 12.6%. If I go through all these numbers, you're going to go to the roof and jump off, so I'm not going to. Rich in New Jersey, the great WABC, a Democrat. Go.
I just wish he would give Obama some credit for fixing the economy and fixing health care.
Okay, you're right. I've been wrong all this time. I want to thank him for fixing health care and fixing the economy, okay?
Thank you, Mark.
What'd you do, go to drone school?
Did I do what?
Go to drone school? Drone, D-R-O-N-E, drone school.
No, I'm not a drone.
No, I think you are.
Why is that?
He hasn't fixed a damn... Okay, let's move along, shall we? Let's go to Chuck, Santa Barbara, the great KVTA. You disagree with me on something, too. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. I really enjoy your show. I have an answer to your question as to where Obama gets the power to do the things that he's doing. And we're not stopping him because...
You do understand it's a rhetorical question, but go ahead and answer.
Well, no, it's not a rhetorical question. He is, in fact, changing our form of government. And we're letting him do it because we don't understand what he's doing. He's changing our constitutional republic rule of law.
Yes, I know that, sir. I've said that.
See? Because he represents the majority, and he can do anything he wants to under a democracy. And don't take my word for it.
Okay, we're not a democracy, and we are a republic. Let me explain something to you. Let me explain something to anybody who thinks like you do. Not only are we a republic and not a democracy, because if we were a democracy, Obamacare would be gone right now. Be gone. But even when we send people to Washington, we still have certain rights that they cannot abuse or they cannot infringe upon, regardless of whether they are in power. They still have to comply with the Constitution. We still have unalienable rights. So just because somebody gets elected to office doesn't mean they can vote to destroy my private property rights. What were you going to say, Chuck?
Can I refer you to James Madison in Federalist Paper number 10? Who says that democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security of the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their
So what's
death.
your point, sir? I'm well aware of it. What's the point?
Well, the point is that Obama is doing anything he wants to.
All right, thanks for your call. We know this. That's the point, sir. I'm going on 3 years explaining this. Turmoil. He wants turmoil. He wants angst. A little bit of anarchy wouldn't hurt. We're well aware of this, sir. Missing something, Mr. Producer? It's like he's calling up. I figured it out. Obama's trying to destroy the country from within. He's not following the Constitution. He's trying to grab all this power. Oh, my God, he figured it out. All right, let's move along, shall we? Let's go to Richard, Cape Coral, Florida, the great W-I-N-K Wink. Go.
Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you, sir.
It's just kind of funny listening to people. Hey, real quick here, it's just interesting on what's going on in Wisconsin on the unions, and I really don't think it's the money issue. I think it's allowing the teachers and people to opt out of the union, and I really think that it's the main place in the whole United States that if they allow that to happen there, that's why they're fighting it so much. That it's going
yes, Richard, if we allow the workers, quote unquote, to actually be free, if we allow employees to decide if they want to be members of unions, if we allow them to decide whether they want to pay dues or contribute to left-wing political candidates, somehow we're destroying the worker. Actually, we're liberating the worker. We'll be right back. How about Bob, Traverse City, Michigan, the great WTCM? Go.
Great to talk to you, Mark. I have here a list that's called the 10 Canats. They're authored about 95 years ago by a Presbyterian minister, and they're just a list of things right down your conservative teachings. Can I read a couple of them real quick?
Please don't read all 10 of them.
Okay. I'll read, how about, you cannot help the poor by destroying the rich. You cannot establish sound security on borrowed money. You cannot further the brotherhood of man by inciting class hatred. You cannot keep out of trouble by spending more money than you earn. You cannot build character by encourage by destroying man's initiative and independence.
All right, those are good. Now, why don't you put them up on our Facebook site so everybody can see them? Can you do that?
Yeah, I can probably do that.
All right. Well, we look forward to looking at them. Thank you, my friend. I've got one, Mr. Call Screener. Exactly. My old one. Some of us are wise and some of us are otherwise. Author unknown.